What does the algorithm in the West promote? Degeneracy.
In their version of TikTok, if you're under 14 years old, they show you science experiments you can do at home, museum exhibits, patriotism videos, and educational videos. Now, they don't ship that version of TikTok to the rest of the world. It's almost like they recognize that technology is influencing kids' development, and they make their domestic version a spinach version of TikTok, while they ship the opium version to the rest of the world.
How is this linked? What does this all mean? So TikTok in the West promotes degeneracy, and you've known this, right? You've seen these little TikTok girls shaking ass and all this. Like sometimes you see like real fucking porn, like you see some like actual like nudity on TikTok in the West and everything. Little 13-year-old boys are seeing this stuff. This was actually an interesting article. If a 13-year-old boy typed OnlyFans in TikTok, some shit like that, like if he typed it or searched it or whatever, he would be then shown like a bunch of OnlyFans. Like of course, do you know what I mean? If you search OnlyFans or if you like show an interest in like the OnlyFans, and the data picks up, no matter if it even knows that your account is owned by a 13-year-old, it will start to show you literal OnlyFans models that are trying to tell you to like, you know, subscribe to their fucking OnlyFans list. Do you understand the severity of this? Because many people won't at this point. This just seems, oh, well, you know, like, yeah, they're just making people here degenerates, like addicted to sex and, you know, shaking ass or whatever in China, making them productive. It doesn't seem that bad, right? This will only really make sense, like the severity of this will only make sense if you know the consequences of a sexualized nation. There's a quote: if you want to destroy any nation without war, make adultery or nudity common in the young generation. And this quote is becoming more and more realistic. It's become more observable. A country falls when especially the young people become too sexually free. Fuck, this video can get really fucking deep. I really hope you can follow along with me. So far, okay, let me just do a recap. So far, we've covered the issues with TikTok. It's extremely addicting. We've covered that TikTok is made by the company ByteDance that reports literally to the CCP, which means that they share data there. And that TikTok's algorithms promote degeneracy, nudity, adultery, open sexual revolution in the West, but then very restrained, disciplined in the East and in China. First of all, we need to answer this question. Why does adultery, why does like sexual freedom destroy a nation? Because that doesn't seem like too obvious right now, does it? Why, when a nation's young people start to have more like free sex outside of marriage, why does that destroy the nation? Well, when people have too much, like, you know, sexually free sex, like, oh, go fuck whoever you want, the family starts to break down. When religion was in control, the only time you'd really be having sex if you followed those rules was at age 18. You know, a man and woman would get married and they'd quickly, you know, be horny as fuck, so you'd quickly get married, you'd have sex, you start having children, boom, you've got a family unit. You've got the nuclear family unit, which was like literally like the most core part of a strong nation. Because if that nation eventually went to war, if that nation was going through some Great Depression, that man would be working hard because he had a family, he had a wife and kids to fight for. When the family is made redundant and the father is killed from the family unit and replaced with the government, and then the young people are promoted to be degenerate, and you see this music and everything. Bro, I haven't watched a music video in a while. And my friend Sam, me and him were on a Discord call, and he just like ended up sharing his screen and he put on like some rap video by, so, you know, like one of those like black American rappers, like, you know, you always see them wearing chains and shit. I hadn't watched any music videos in a while. I've not seen any porn, any social media. I don't have any of that shit. I've just seen this random one where it's like they're all in like the hood or something and they've got like a bunch of like degen girls twerking around them. The guys are like, you know, imitating sex moves and everything. It's very degenerate. Obviously, these aren't their fucking wives or anything, do you know what I mean? Just that made me think like, fuck, like that's actually normal in the West to see this type of degenerate content. You see like these female artists getting like dry humped by their male like dancing stars when they go onto like stage or something. You see all these people promoting like this degeneracy. A lot of people reply to this and say, oh, well, you know, you're a misogynist, you don't want people to women's sexual freedom and stuff. This isn't about hating on a particular sex. This is about realizing that this causes weakness, because the thing that causes the most strength in a man, and therefore the most strength in a country, is family. And so when we destroy the family by showing people that they can have sex and promoting them to have sex outside of the family, perhaps this can get even more red pilled, because then those same people, especially the women, this gets very fucking red pilled, honestly. Like, you start to see all the plots like linking together. I'll put this all together soon. But the next thing we need to discuss is what happens when sexual freedoms are opened. What happens when people, young people, are allowed to like to just fuck, and it's just normal to be on Tinder and stuff. Men get extremely horny, and so men really want to fuck, and so men start crowding and start wanting to fuck the same girls, and, you know, they're sending the messages and everything. That means that women's self-esteem and like, you know, self-identity starts to inflate, because an average girl is now getting the attention of like a fucking 100 years ago. An average girl is getting hundreds of messages messages. Literally like almost like a rock star level attraction that she's getting, and she's literally just like a 5 or something. And I don't say this like disrespect her, I'm just saying like the brutal truth. So what happens? If sexual freedom is opened up, men are now allowed to like hoard women and start texting them all the time. And of course, like when you're allowed to just fuck as a guy, it's like, you may as well go shotgun strategy and message as many girls as possible. Women's self-esteem is rising from that, so women start seeing themselves better. When women see themselves better, they only want to fuck guys who are better than them. So this 5 now thinks that she's an 8 because of the hundreds of Tinder matches that she's getting, and now she'll only fuck guys who are 8s, 9s, and 10s. But these guys won't want to get into a serious relationship with her, which means that she will, like, this sounds fucking gross, and I don't mean to be like sexist, but she will get ran through by the chads that don't want a real relationship with her because they still see her as a 5, even though she sees herself as an 8. This is like the sort of conventional girl that you see who's like, oh, all guys are the same, guys only want one thing and stuff. Like, guess why she's saying that? Because she's had these like instant sexual experiences with guys who then don't want to get into a real relationship with her because her, her sort of image of herself has been inflated by all the little chumps messaging her. Then she's had so much sex with so many different guys that then that reduces her ability to even pair bond and stay true with one guy in the future. This is where we get controversial, and like right now, I'll be totally honest, I have a fear that I don't even want to record the rest of this video because it might not be worth me literally losing my entire channel for this video. I could literally get cancelled for what I'm about to say, and I will try and say it in the most like uninsulting way possible. But this same woman then who thinks of herself here, even though she is here, and she's been then sleeping with, well, she wants these guys and she'll happily get into a relationship with them. So, they end up meeting up, going on a date, and then they fuck her, and then they don't like reply because these guys want a girl up there. This girl has now slept with 10 guys, 20 guys, and there's quite gut-wrenching research that shows that when a woman has slept around, her ability to stay faithful drastically decreases. In fact, it is researched. This is not like my sexist opinion. There is real core research for this, that the number one indicator of a woman initiating a divorce and also getting into an affair is her premarital sex history. The number one indicator that she will divorce you or cheat on you is simply just how many guys she has slept with before you. What's interesting is that it is not about the number of times that she has had sex. So a woman could have sex with her boyfriend 10,000 times, and that would actually like affect her less than if she had 10 hookups just one time each. So with the promotion of degeneracy, women essentially become corrupted, and that largely destroys their ability to be able to like stay faithful with the guy that they eventually want to really get with. And this is the dynamic you see of like a bunch of like, younger girls who have been really pushed to be like so sexually free when they're 16 and 17, 18, having sex since they were like 13 years old, going to parties and 18, 19, 20, just enjoying themselves. Girls just want to have fun and stuff, double-digit body counts. And guys aren't like free from the responsibilities of this as well. I'll discuss guys, but I just want to talk about what happens to girls. She gets to 22, 23, 24, she wants to start taking things a bit more seriously. She's like with 15 guys, 20 guys, she's, had a couple of relationships here and there. And eventually when she's 29 years old, 30 years old, 31, she's had like 10 years working and everything, and now she really wants to get married. She's got pressure from her parents to have kids and everything. Then she meets a chump like you, and you're a real man who'll take care of her, who doesn't just want her for sex like all those fuckboys did. Yeah, all those assholes did. They just used. Then she meets a real man like you. A real man. A man who doesn't really care about her sexual history because he's so secure in himself. So she eventually meets the guy who's like the sweetheart that she's always wanted. And, she falls in love. Yeah, he's amazing. And, he's so happy. Yeah, I've met my princess. And, her past, oh, it's okay. And then her ability to actually stay faithful with this guy is just fucking, like, the data shows that it's lowered. But if we think about it in like an individual case, what a realistic scenario might be is that, 6 months they've been together, 1 year, they've got a child, 2 years, 3 years, they've got 2 children. And, years have went by, bro, years. And she's had children and everything. Now she's focused on the children. She's maybe in work and stuff. And she reminisces of like the Chad from 10 years ago who like, used to pound the fuck out of her. And she ends up like, just like being a little bit free on a voice call with one of her girlfriends, and they're just talking, and they just like subtly keep their voice down like, oh yeah, do you remember Chad? Like he just came back into the city today. And she's like, oh my God, his dick was so big and everything. And he slept with me so, like it was so fucking good. I can't believe like that one time him and his friends did. And then imagine her husband's like listening in from the door. I know this seems like weird as fuck, like misogynist, but like, bro, this is real stuff that happens. For guys, it's a very interesting case of how TikTok, well, not just TikTok, but just the degeneracy leads to this, because guys are then, we've already had this natural impulse inside of us to like fuck a lot. And so when we're then heavily promoted to do so, and it's kind of open to, you're being sold sex more than you realize. Like you're being castrated, like all these porn websites, TikTok, social media, like they know that you're so addicted addicted to sex, so that they've just like allowed women to, you know, present themselves in this way, because then they're just hooking your attention and they make more money from you. And so the majority of guys go through life just totally just addicted and just distracted by like the sexual shit they see on screens, by, you know, movies and music videos and porn and everything. And the top 10% of like chads, you know, the top 10% of guys, they're eligible to have sex. And so it's a really weird dynamic where like literally the majority of guys have a porn addiction. They're totally lonely. And yet just a small percentage of men have got literally an astronomical body count, like have slept with so many women that you wouldn't even believe. You know, there's men out there who have quite literally slept with thousands of women. And there's a fair amount of guys who have slept with hundreds of women. And yet there's millions, billions of guys who have never even kissed a girl before. So all of these problems, you know, stem from degeneracy. Degeneracy is promoted by TikTok, and all these problems lead to a weak country. It leads to a country that doesn't have a strong family unit. It leads to a country that has men who don't have children, who don't have wives to work hard for. And so those men just kind of, you know, sleep away into the darkness and just go to work, grudgingly come back and just like jack off. And 10 years from now, it'll be the exact same routine, but they'll come back and exchange 0.1 Ethereum for a cuddle in virtual reality fucking metaverse. TikTok isn't entirely to blame for this, because degeneracy has started in these Western countries for a while. But how TikTok comes into this equation is very, very interesting.